Welcome to the H.I.P podcast, where we believe the real experts on healing are those who've lived it. I'm Chaya, director of the H.I.P Counseling Center, and on this show, we give voice to the incredible journeys of those who've navigated attachment challenges and complex trauma. Here, you'll hear from clients of therapy themselves about what truly helped them and how they found their path to healing. I am so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. In this episode, we're talking about something that doesn't get discussed nearly enough. What happens inside therapy when you have attachment trauma? If you've ever felt younger than your age in session, confused about your reactions to your therapist, ashamed of how much you need, or wondered whether therapy itself is stirring up the very wounds that it's meant to heal, this conversation is for you. Today, I'm joined by Chaya Morgenstern, a social work student and someone with deep lived experience in therapy. Together, we explore what it's like to move through years of treatment while carrying shame, self-blame, and an anxious attachment system, and how healing actually unfolds through relationship, missteps, rupture, and repair. We talk openly about why needing connection can feel deeply shameful, how being a good client can sometimes be a trauma response, the difference between boundaries that create safety and boundaries that are boundaries around the therapist's heart, and whether secure attachment is truly possible after years of relational pain. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the H.I.P podcast. We're so excited. I am so excited to welcome Chaya Morgenstern here onto the podcast. And it's super exciting for me for a number of reasons. One reason is because I think that she's coming into the field now as a social work student, from what I understand, which we'll hear more about, and also as a client with lived experience. So I think that's a really cool and unique perspective. And she has a story to tell. So let's jump right in. And Chaya, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today. Um, I'm Chaya Morgenstern. I just finished my first semester at Sarah Schneer. What a unique, I feel like I have almost a bird's eye view on, when it comes to attachment and being a client, and then this first semester learning from the other side, what really can help my clients. And having experienced certain things as a client, I don't want my clients to experience. I have to look at it from a professional perspective as well and see what's the best for them. So,
Okay, so you have a history of being in therapy. Sounds like it's been maybe a little bit of a rocky road, and you've learned from it and are going to now see it from the other side of the couch and apply what you've learned. Is that what I'm
yes,
getting?
interestingly enough,
Oh, I
I
love that.
had, I learned a tremendous amount. It was about 6 years of therapy. Yeah,
Wow.
and I wouldn't be who I am today. And looking back, had I been the therapist, I was in a very, hard position. And having been the therapist, I might have also been really challenged to not, you know,
Yeah.
get so involved or whatever it was. But at the end of the day, what ended up happening was it backfired badly.
Okay. So this is one particular therapy experience with one
Yes,
therapist that you're
correct.
describing now. And you said you were there for 6 years with this
Yes.
person. There's also some part of you that's feeling compassion for what that therapist was going through. I'm
Yes, and
sensing
that's
that
only recent,
because,
actually.
oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, it was very painful, I
Yes.
imagine, for a long time. But you're starting to see through a different lens how you may have been a challenging client. I'm gonna put those words in quotes, actually, challenging.
Challenging
And I'm
circumstances, we
actually
shall say.
challenging
Yes.
circumstances. Okay. And obviously, you could share whatever feels
Yeah.
right to you, you know. But I am curious if it's okay, if we could
Sure.
dive right in there and see. First of all, can I take you back to like starting therapy, and then like what that might have been like? How long did you think about should I go for therapy or not, or what maybe inspired you to go, and what's that like to lean in like that and take us
Sure.
down that way?
Sure,
How does that feel?
absolutely. Very interesting because I did a couple of papers on that, so I feel like I developed that so much more. Um, Growing up, my mother was very into therapy, and the way I viewed it was if you go to therapy, there must be something wrong with you. I think my first experience of therapy was I was in fifth grade, and I was acting out because of things going on at home. And my mother took me to the therapist, and the attitude was, oh, let's teach you anger management skills. And so I absorbed the idea that I'm in therapy because something is wrong with me.
So I'm a problem and I need to be fixed. And this is starting from
Yeah.
fifth grade. So that's like 10, 11 years old, something like that. Wow. So 10, 11 years old, it's like almost a
Yeah.
punishment in a way. Like going to the therapist is a punishment. Wow. Wow. I have a lot of reactions because I'm just thinking of a lot of children who really come to therapy that way, where it's like a school, is like, this has to get under control, or parents at home, and they're kind of just like being the way that they are a lot of the time, and they're really not in tune with like what's going on here, and it's not really explained well, even like what is therapy. And it's just interesting because I'm thinking about, I remember when I used to see kids in therapy, I used to say to them like, you're sitting across from me in such a formal way. I'm a grown up and you're a child. What does that feel like? Like, when do you ever sit across from an adult and you're not in trouble? Like in this
So
way.
true.
Like, we need to sit down, we're gonna
Right.
talk. So I just like, my heart goes out to you for like just knowing that experience, and already coming in that something's wrong with me, and now here's the authority, and here's who's supposed to fix me, and here's where I need to get fixed. So yeah, okay, go ahead. So take us down the journey.
So that
What was
was
it
in
like?
fifth grade. So that was my first experience. My parents got divorced when I was 17, so that was tumultuous time in my life. And I just remember I avoided therapy like the plague. It was like, I am not going to therapy. They're just going to say I'm the problem. It must be me.
Because that was your first experience. And oh man, it's so good for me to hear that, because I always told parents then, like, I don't want to be the reason why your kid never goes back to therapy. So we need to be very honest about what I do, how I do it. I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a mashgiach, I'm not the mentor. I'm a therapist. Here's what we do, and this is what it's going to be like. And if your child's not feeling into that, don't bring them. We'll figure out another way to help. So yeah, it sounds like you had that experience where it was already negative. You're kind of dragged there. You have to make this work. It has to be fixed. It sounds like it didn't go so well. And now you're sort of an adult going through a real life challenge where maybe you really could use this support, and you're like, therapy is just not the place for that.
Correct.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to myself at the time, and it just, yeah, it's really sad. Yeah, and then as I mentioned on the other podcast, the Kalman syndrome just made things way more difficult. Being rejected, shidduchim was, it just internalized the shame all over again.
Could you just briefly just mention, you don't have to go into detail, is that a
Yes, it's a
medical
medical
condition?
condition.
Okay.
It's a mutated
Okay.
gene. We still have no idea where it came from.
Yeah.
The result is that I can't have kids naturally, and it
Wow.
scared
Okay.
people.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, is that again sort of a confirmation, like I'm a problem, I scare
Exactly.
people, I can't have connection with people
There
unless I'm
must be something
different?
wrong with me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm at the edge of my seat. Like, how do we navigate this? Okay, so I just need to know. Therapy. What happened? What was it like?
Okay, so I find myself seeing, I just jumped off the bridge, pretty much, because I said I'm never gonna do that. My parents got divorced. I'm not doing this. And then I did. And
Wow. So was that
oh,
shameful for
yes.
you?
Oh, yes. At the same time,
Okay.
there was a lot of relief, but it was definitely shameful of how did I get here? What am I doing wrong that my life just keeps, this keeps happening? And the first therapist we went to was actually Lisa Tursky. She's incredible. She wrote the
Sure.
book, what is it called again? I'm confused.
It's the one on, yeah. It's someone done domestic violence, but I don't
So good.
remember.
I'm confused.
Yeah,
Am I being
the
abused?
title.
That was very,
Yeah.
very
Okay.
helpful. And she recommended, we were moving, my mother was moving to Lakewood, so she recommended someone there.
Okay.
And Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave me awareness and resilience. And after a few sessions, I recognized that I'm coming with a lot and it might just be too much for her, for the
For the
therapist,
therapist.
yes.
Can I ask what gave you that sense? Because there's something really cool about nervous systems that can
I
pick up on
know.
that.
So, also, I'll say support groups are so important, and I was at a support group.
Yeah.
And I have to
Oh,
say that that's where I learned how to feel. I
wow.
used to think,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I used to think that talking about your feelings was how you felt. So I would
Yeah.
just talk, 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 but completely disconnected.
Yep.
And
Because feeling was not
yeah,
safe.
and I remember sitting in, by the way, not a good recommendation what I did. I did psychodrama a few weeks after
Wow.
getting out. Yeah,
Wow. Without
without
feeling.
feeling and just
Yeah.
not a great idea, honestly. It's important and it helped me a ton, but I would just recommend something much, much lighter. Because support group
Yeah.
is
Cause,
everything.
yeah. And for those who don't know what psychodrama is, you want to just give a quick blurb
What
on
psychodrama
what
is?
made it
Okay.
intense. Yeah.
Psychodrama is you act out different scenarios,
That's right.
and for sometimes for the people acting and sometimes for the people watching, it will access a very, very deep hidden part.
Mhm.
So, it could really, really, like, if you don't know how to ground, it could be very, very hard.
And also, you've been protected from these feelings for
Exactly.
so long. So it's kind of like you're jumping right in a certain way and could be overwhelming in the
Exactly.
system. So there's a time and place for
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What was incredible was I remember sitting at the support group and watching the people feeling like they were talking and they were feeling. I noticed like,
Wow.
wait, there's more to just talking about your feelings.
Hmm. You were like seeing the
Exactly.
emotion, the
Exactly. And I
affect.
saw it in
Yeah.
the body.
And you hadn't seen that before. Wow. So that wasn't modeled for you. You didn't have that template of like what's it like to feel emotion or be
Or
emotional.
I just shut it
So
down
you,
completely and then forgot about
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I imagine growing up also, emotions are something that
Yeah.
is hidden away. It's not something that we're going to talk about or
Yeah.
show or express. Okay. So now here you are as an adult. So you're and into your adulthood, not feeling, implicitly or maybe explicitly learning that we don't show those things, we don't feel those things, which is also
Right.
protective. And now we see people doing that. We're like,
Right.
what is this?
It's so interesting because I have a
Yeah.
sister whose personality is just completely different than mine, and she would cry so easily. I would be jealous, honestly.
Mm,
I remember,
like you remember
yes, I
that
do
back then?
remember. I do remember thinking, wow, I
Wow.
could never cry like her. Like, I wish I could just.
Mm, yeah.
So I think it was more my identity was be brave, be brave, be brave, and
Yeah. And brave
brave
is
is
not
not
feeling.
feeling.
Yeah. Now we have a different perspective on that, I imagine.
Absolutely.
I don't. We don't need to fast forward yet because I need to hear the whole
Yeah,
process. But now we know that being brave is feeling.
absolutely.
Like leaning into feelings is quite brave, and you're watching people who are doing that, and you're seeing their
Exactly.
courage, and it's like lighting
Yeah,
you up in a way. And you're like, I wish I can do that. I want to be like that.
right,
How do I get there?
right.
So how did you get there?
So I remember I would listen to sad songs
Oh, so now this is the party
that's
that's
trying
trying to
to
feel.
feel.
So we're gonna like put some stimulus in the environment and let's start
Exactly.
feeling. But it's now there's more permission
Yes,
for it. Like I've seen
absolutely.
it. I've seen it
But
in
it didn't
action.
happen
It's
naturally
been
right away.
contained.
Yeah,
But I imagine you needed that permission from watching it and seeing how it's contained and feels
exactly.
okay. And now let me see what I can do for myself. That's so
Exactly.
cool.
And actually, this first therapist, I'll never forget that she introduced me to John Bradshaw. Um, it
Hmm.
was, she just gave me like a picture of a like a imagery that was a description of it, and she wanted me to sort of read it and help me meet my inner child. Like that was the intro.
Oh, wow.
And I went 5 steps ahead. I was a very good client, too good, I should say. And looking back,
We should talk
yeah,
about that.
looking back, I learned that that's part of fawning,
Yeah. Yes.
which I never even knew that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. And I want to know how you learned that, but just for the listeners for a second, let's just describe funny. So, as we know, the nervous system protects us. The brain and body is a uh, structure or part of us that is there in a protective way to protect us, and it does that in different ways. And we may be familiar with the 3 F's, but there's really 4 F's. That the fourth one is the one you didn't know about. The 3 F's is fight and flight and freeze, but the fourth F is called fawn, and that's also a way that we protect ourselves by sort of, let's call it, people pleasing or something like that, or being the way that the other person wants me to be in order to keep the relationship. So, as we know, attachment and relationship, maybe we don't know, is the most important thing ever. Can't survive without it. So, we're going to fawn to the person in order to keep them around. So, you start doing that in therapy, which is quite common, right? That I'm going to be the great client. I'm going to do all the exercises, even if it's not feeling so right, because I don't know if my feelings matter. I don't know if I can feel. They're the expert. They know what
yeah,
they're talking about. And I have been a problem
right.
my whole life.
And you're
So
bringing,
I'm just
yeah,
going to do
and
what
you're
they say.
bringing up a time where she would say, like, "Is it okay? Is it too intense?" And to be like, "No, no, no, no,
No
sure, it's
way.
fine."
Of course not. Sure. Exactly. Exactly. So, and it's a great trap for a therapist because they also want to feel like they're doing great work,
Exactly.
right? And they have parts of them that want to feel like they're doing good things, and they are doing some great things. And here we have this client, and like they are checking, right? Is it okay? That's a safe thing to do. And now you're like, yes, it is. And like, great, let's keep going. In the meantime, your body's somewhere else, you're somewhere else, but you know that they need to feel good about their work or that you need to be a good client. Because if you're a bad client, maybe they'll get rid of me, maybe they'll abandon me or
Exactly.
something like that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Similar.
I'm familiar with, a little bit with this
Yeah.
experience.
I'm gonna get this
And
right.
yeah, and also I've been so wrong, so I'm gonna prove that I'm getting this right. And also, like, the stakes are
Yeah.
too high. Like, how can I
Yeah.
not get this right?
Yeah. My life
Wow.
is just one big mess. So let me at least do this right.
Yeah, this is my lifeline. Absolutely. So, I think could I just pause here for 1 second and just really put out there for therapists to be looking out for something like this, right? Where we kind of expect someone who has been through some of the things that you're talking about, where we need to be protected, where we haven't felt safe in relationship, our being our authentic selves hasn't been okay, valued, cared, getting the proper care, that we're going to step into therapy with all of that. And our protectors are going to do what they need to do. And the fun one is a little hard to detect. It's not like you're getting angry at the therapist, like the fight one, which we can talk about if that happened maybe also, or the canceling the sessions, I want to be a good client. So I'm going to do the fawning and it kind of feels okay. What we need to slow down is to maybe just check, like, is there a part of you now that needs to be the best client or be okay? And that would be okay with me. And I'm going to stick around next week if that's what's going on for you, and to kind of slow that down and check on it. So I imagine that would have been
Yeah,
helpful.
so this was something I learned only recently, my first semester,
Hmm. Oh,
yes,
wow.
when one of my professors
Okay.
said if a client is being too good and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
then make sure to look into that.
Yeah. Can we shout out which school you go to?
Sarah.
Oh, maybe we already did. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, shout out to
Great.
Sarah Schneer.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Great professors
Yes,
there. Amazing. Beautiful.
yes, yes.
Okay. So now you're learning fawn. Okay. And you're realizing what happened back
So
then.
many, yeah,
That's
so many
interesting.
such,
Wow. So you're getting insight into, like, oh, that's what I was going
yeah,
through. What's that like for you to look back and see that?
incredible, absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Does it open, like, compassion for
Absolutely.
yourself. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. So I was talking to you about, oh, the imagery, right? So
Yes.
I had found, like, that was the amazing part, that I was always so resourceful. And I remember my therapist kept telling me, you're so resourceful. Um, so like I
Mm,
found an inner child song and I recorded the imagery to it and like really
wow.
went all out, and I did, and
Mm,
it was amazing because it really helped me. The imagery was like going down, the hallway with a bunch of doors and something. I found it recently and I actually
wow.
sent it to that
Wow.
therapist. I'm like, see, I still have it.
Mm,
Yeah, it was interesting. So we were starting to scratch that surface,
mm,
and I found myself in court.
oh,
And yeah, it was not fun. And the situation just was not, it was just a real crisis. And I remember having a Zoom session with that therapist. And I remember, by the way, love her as a person or anything, it just was too much for her. I saw how she freaked out.
was that an overt thing that she
Yes.
was doing, or you can see it in her? Okay. Yeah, it was
It was,
obvious.
oh, you mean overt?
Yeah, like was it something that she was like the way she was behaving, or is it just a sense that you were able to see and pick up
I
on?
definitely sensed anxiety.
Yeah, yeah. So could I just also teaching moment again? Um, when we go through relational traumas and challenges, our nervous system is going to be on high alert for like, who is someone that can hold me, if not that I believe that that could be true even, but like our radar and our detection is like so fine tuned. It's like the slightest nonverbal movement, posture, something emotional going on in the therapist, we sense as a survivor, and it's driving us crazy because like you know it's doing that because we need to be safe, and it's like, oh, let's check on that. Well, we can't trust that because of that, and we can't trust that because of that. These are all the reasons why we might not be okay. Now what do we do? Maybe we should fawn more, or whatever we have to do to stay safe. And it's, I just want to like say, like, it's so hard to be in that spot because you do pick up on everything, but you also don't trust your own senses. So like, even if the therapist is somewhat anxious, that's not necessarily a threat, not necessarily, but in the system it is. In your system it is. So it's like, whoa, we got to do something about this. It's okay for a therapist to get anxious sometimes. They're humans too. And if they're in check with themselves, they're going to handle it fine. But you don't know that, and you
Right.
can't trust that. So it becomes this
Right.
huge
And
crisis.
could we also discuss
Yeah.
how much we doubt our own reality?
Yeah. Like, am I really picking this up? Is that even true? Exactly. And we may not be able to because, first of all, we look at our lives and we say, how can I trust myself? Look at all the relationships I've been in. Also, like, we see that there are things that we thought were terrible that turned out okay.
Exactly.
So we have this sensitive, I'm not calling you sensitive, by the way. We have a sensitive um, detector that is very, very sensitive and picks up on the slightest things. That doesn't mean that it's danger, but the way that the limbic system works in the brain is we sense something and we fire danger. Now, if we've been in real danger, which you have been, right, day in, day out, moment by moment, we're wired in a way where we detect the slightest things, and it reminds us of all the danger that we've been in with other people. And boom, the brain signals you're in danger. And of course, you're like, how can I trust that? Right? And I always use the example of like a smoke alarm that will detect smoke for any kind of smoke. So my toaster could be burning, and that's the smoke that it detects, or God forbid, my house is on fire. And we don't know
Yeah,
the difference as a trauma
absolutely.
survivor. So we're just like, smoke, fire, do something. And then, oh, it's a toaster. But we don't get that. Oh, it's a toaster because it's a relationship. And it's like, get away
Right.
from this. We don't see that
Right.
safety.
And I think
Yeah.
it's even deeper about doubting our own realities. Our realities were never validated.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I'm so glad you're saying that. Right. Like, Who am I to
It's like,
decide
oh, I'm feeling so sad.
that
No,
this
no,
is the
don't be sad.
reality?
Don't be sad. Everything's fine.
Don't be sad. Yeah, yeah. So if I'm feeling like I'm too much, just don't feel that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So can I take you back there now? We have this therapist who's feeling like you're feeling like you're too much, or they're not enough for you. Those are two different
Yeah.
things.
No, I just said
So you actually, I think, said
they're
that they're
not
not
enough for
enough for
me. I
you.
think it was a
But
very mature thing.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow, because that's not something that's so simple for a lot
Yeah.
of people, right? For I think most people that I know struggling with this, I'm the problem. Like you started
Exactly.
off saying, I'm the problem, so I'm too much. I'm too much for everyone. Of course, I'll be too much for them. I have to fix myself. But at this point, you already have some clarity
Exactly.
that like I need a larger capacity than the one that's
Yeah.
here. And by the way, therapists, clients, everyone out there, that's okay. Not every therapist is going to have the capacity that every client
Yeah.
needs. And sometimes we we get our full benefits or whatever we needed from this therapist, and now they don't have the capacity for what we might need now. And that hurts to be on the other side because it could feel like an
Right.
abandonment, right, to the client, or if the client's hearing this from the therapist or whatever, or the client sensing this, it's complicated, but it's also just to know that it's okay
Yeah.
if a therapist doesn't have that capacity. The therapist doesn't have to feel ashamed. It's just, this is where we're up to.
Yeah.
This is what I have right now, how much I have, and it might not be enough for you, but that doesn't mean you're too
Right.
much.
Or I'm not
I'm
enough.
just not enough for what
Right.
your needs are. How's that sounding to you?
Yeah.
Would you agree with
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. And to be fair, it was a scary situation.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I just was able to see
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with me. This is very big, and
Yeah.
she is not equipped to deal with this. That's
Mm-hmm.
all. And we
Yes.
left on
Yeah.
wonderful terms, and we're still in touch till today. Yeah,
Beautiful. That's
yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Great. So it's okay to be in touch with your past therapists. Everyone always wonders about that. Should I update them on my life?
Unlike my other therapist, we will discuss
Yes.
later on. Yes.
Okay, so let's get into that.
You
So
ready?
let's contrast. So where do you go from here?
Okay. So again, amazing that I'm in the support group so I can crowdsource
Mm,
and find a good trauma
beautiful.
therapist.
Oh, oh, that's great. Now you can get feedback from other people. What's your
Yeah.
experience? Maybe you're resonating with some of the things they've been through and they got
Yeah.
help. So let me know what's the secret. And a lot of people don't want to share who their therapist is. If I could just put that out there, especially when we have attachment challenges, like it's my exclusive, like get out of there. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to share that person with
Yeah,
you.
and I wasn't
Yeah.
in
So it
touch,
could be tricky to
right?
find
And I
someone.
wasn't even in touch with that. I remember my friend, when I was already a client of hers for a while, a friend of mine was really struggling, happens to be from the support group. And when she asked me if, I was what do you mean she asked me? I was the one being like, yeah, go to my therapist, go to my therapist.
Mm,
And looking back, and especially now, it's painful because she's still her client,
yeah.
and for us, it didn't work out. And
Oh,
part of her,
oh,
I want to say, capacity was that she felt that we needed to cut off, which is so painful.
oh, the friend.
Not the
Oh,
friend, the
that's,
therapist.
yeah,
The
that's,
therapist.
the therapist felt
That
that
we shouldn't be in touch anymore.
and you and the
Correct.
therapist, or you and the
Me and
friend,
the therapist.
you and the therapist. Okay, can I slow you down? Because I must have missed something.
Yeah.
Which therapist is this? Is
The
this one
six
that you spoke about
years, the
yet?
6 years one.
Okay, so
We
we didn't
didn't
get into
get
that
to
one
that
so
one
much
yet.
yet. But that's what ended your therapy with that
No,
person?
that was a different story. We're gonna get to that soon, but when you're talking
Okay,
about do wanting a friend or not
okay,
wanting a friend, I do remember being
okay.
excited to like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Well, why shouldn't I share what I have with you?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
want to caution
yeah.
people to really, really think about themselves for a
Because the
minute.
therapist will say, I might not be able to see two people who are friends at the same
Exactly.
time. Yeah, that takes a lot of skill, especially with attachment stuff with friends, it could be very
Oh yeah,
complicated. So that would have been a reason where the therapist is saying, sorry, like we're not going to work
yeah,
together anymore.
absolutely.
That's a great announcement. Thank you for
Yeah,
announcing that. Like for everyone to be
yes.
careful.
And I want to
Yeah.
say, I think that also didn't help when it came to attachment stuff. Having
Yeah, of
friends,
course.
discussing the sessions. She told me this, I told her this. Oh my
Yes.
God.
I got this out of the therapist. How come I don't get that out of the therapist? What do you mean? They let you text. They don't let me text. I get the email. You can't email. 1 second. They went on vacation, but they make up a Zoom session with you, but not with me. How come? And like, oh, I'm feeling the anxiety of
Yeah,
it right now, and also like the compassion for like how complicated and triggering that is because we don't trust our
yeah,
own senses, and we're now gonna see how they're treating someone else. So now they don't like me. Are they about to abandon me?
right.
Are they not? And now I need to get more. Now we come on stronger onto the therapist, and the therapist's like, "What's going on?" And they don't have all this
Exactly.
context necessarily because I can't share it with them
Exactly. So
because of
now
my
I know
friend,
things
and
about
then
the
they're not going to see
therapist
me.
that she never told me, right?
Yeah, and you have to play this, and you're also spending so much energy making sure none of that leaks out. And it's like you're not even yourself anymore. You're the person who can't share this and that and the
Yeah,
other thing, while the person who really can help you through the challenges is the therapist, but I can't even
yeah,
use them for that because of how
right. And I
complicated
want to
it
say
is.
also
Wow.
just the fact of obsessing, right? You're talking to the friend and you're
Yeah.
talking about the therapist and what the therapist said or didn't say and what she's gonna say and what
Mm,
she's not gonna say.
mm,
It just
mm.
doesn't help.
Yeah. And getting the distance from the friend, and what I don't want to distance myself from the friend. I want them to be my friend, even though that's what's going to help me. I don't want to do that. Or the distance from the therapist, I certainly don't want to do. And it gets very
Yeah.
tricky. Wow. So don't see your friend's therapist
Yeah,
if you have attachment challenges. Yes. At all
absolutely.
costs.
So
Okay.
I start going to the new therapist and
Okay.
learned so much. I will never forget how she, taught me the idea that I matter just because I was born. It
Wow.
was huge, huge.
Mm. I imagine hard to believe and not a simple process like, oh, thank you for telling me now I can believe you. I imagine it's something you were able to feel
Yeah,
into at some point
yeah,
and like really feel in your
yeah,
bones like
right.
I matter. So can I also just slow it down just for a second? There are going to be people listening to this go, that's very nice. People have told me that too. It's just a bunch of words. And you're somebody who lived this, who lived the other side, where you did not believe you mattered at all, and you had a lot of proof that you didn't. Is there
Oh,
hope for everyone?
absolutely, absolutely. So it wasn't just her telling me. I also at the time started going to AC 12-step groups. Phenomenal. It just the same idea about the inner child and you matter and the people pleasing piece, like everything just went so nicely together. And I remember I actually went out and bought myself a teddy bear.
Oh, I love hearing that. I have so much to say.
In fact,
I teach this to my students all the
yeah,
time.
in fact,
Yeah.
I got one at Target that had a mother with a
The
baby.
weighted? Oh, okay. So I have those in my office. Are they the weighted ones?
No, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we have the weighted
yeah,
ones are
yeah.
awesome. Like Big Lion, Baby Lion,
Amazing,
or actually I have right
amazing.
with me now. Another version of that, but
I
that's
only
amazing.
have the
Beautiful.
the big one was so, was worn out that I only have the babies left. I
Mm,
had to get myself a new
wow.
one every
Wow.
once in a while.
Yeah. Can you speak to for the audience around what that brings into you? Like to have that.
First of all, I'm a very visual person, and I think it
Yeah.
really helped me make it real that this was my inner child.
Mm-hmm. Mm,
And my therapist encouraged me to put an alarm on and
mm,
she wouldn't, I think I came up with the idea of the teddy bear, but I don't remember. But her goal was just fill up this little girl with love. And the more I did it, the more it actually happened and I started believing it. And I remember she's actually not Jewish, but she's Christian, and she actually helped me find Hashem in a
wow.
healthy way. And I'll never forget when she would tell me, if you don't have it, if you don't find the love, ask God.
That's
And it was
beautiful.
real. It wasn't like she was just like, oh, she was real.
Yeah, that was her authentic reply.
She
She
lived
lived
it.
it.
Yes, she
Yeah,
lived it.
yeah. And you sense that from her.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And I just want to name here that the relationship with Hashem could be quite complicated when we're going through relational trauma. And that makes a lot of sense because God is also a relationship. And our experience of relationships is through people. And if we have a lot of pain in that, naturally we may very likely have a lot of pain towards God or felt from Him, feel abandoned and things like that if we felt abandoned by people. So that is quite
Yeah.
complicated. And a whole topic around what's the role of religion in therapy rooms. Like people are so scared to talk about God. And it sounds like actually her mentioning God is what
Yeah.
brought you closer to
Yeah.
God. So you give full permission, I guess, to bring God into
Absolutely.
therapy for people who want to find Him or are interested or come from that type
Yeah.
of lifestyle and living where God has been
Right.
a focus.
And
Yeah.
Pia Melody, she was actually a student of Pia Melody, and Pia Melody's model is very, very much, it's very spiritual.
Mm, spiritual. Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I wanted to add to what you said about, Hashem and how the difficult relationship.
Yeah.
It's so normal to feel like Hashem is out to get you.
Yeah,
So
of
normal.
course. And you
And
no
I
longer
don't
feel
feel
that
that
way?
way, no.
Wow. So, one second. Hope. There's hope for
Yes.
everyone. And we were in dark places in this area. This is not, we're getting the cliff notes here, or this is not the
Yeah.
whole story. But we can believe you when you say that you've been in dark places around this, and you're in much brighter
Yeah,
spaces around this.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And that happened
Yes.
through healing, through good
Yeah.
therapeutic work. That's helping you find yourself and connect to yourself. Let's just notice that
Yeah.
for a minute. It sounds like through noticing yourself and connecting to yourself, you're naturally connecting to something
Exactly.
higher than
That's
yourself.
the first step.
Because,
When people get like, oh my goodness, they're not from, they're not. The first step is to connect to yourself, and then we
yeah.
worry.
And that's complicated because who am I? No one's connected to me. No one's been safe with me. No one's treated me nicely. Yes. Yes. So, for those who don't know, AC is Adult Children of Alcoholics. I know people always ask, what are these acronyms? So, I would just say, could you speak for like what was your experience around being able to love this inner child or connect to yourself when you haven't experienced that from outside of yourself? How were you able to do that? Was there someone who was doing that for you and that's what allowed you to do
No.
that for yourself? So how did
So
we get
we
there?
faked it till we make it. That's definitely a motto.
Wow. Okay, which is so hard because you've been faking it
Yeah.
your whole life. So kind of like part of my healing is to intentionally fake it.
So not faking it in that
It's like,
sense, but like I said, hugging that teddy bear even if you don't feel like it, filling
yeah,
yourself up with love even though
yeah,
you don't feel
yeah,
like it.
yeah,
What I
yeah.
will say is in the beginning, looking back now, as I grew and grew and grew, I recognized that in the beginning, my growth came from my inner critic. It was reparent your child. What are you thinking? Right?
Because that one really wants you to heal.
It was this drive to
So,
heal. But then when I
yeah.
discovered self-compassion, it
Oh,
was a game changer.
yeah. Wow. Can I ask if you were feeling that kind of connection with your therapist? Where your therapist is accepting you for who
Yes.
you are? Is is that loving
Yes,
presence for
absolutely.
you?
That was happening. Now it gets a little complicated. So
Yeah.
as you're listening to my story, you understand that I'm really alone with a 5-month-old, 6-month-old baby, and
Okay.
I have
Wow.
very little support.
Yeah.
And so she allowed texting, and she allowed, you know, another interesting thing. she would record our sessions, and she thought it was helpful for me to listen to. On the other hand, it was kind of another way to
Of keeping her around,
exactly,
like, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So I'm sensing that this leads to complications when there's so much that you're getting from your therapist, which of course parts of you
Yeah.
really need because I am alone. At the same time, and they really want that, and it's feeling great while it's
Yes, it
happening.
feels awesome, and I
It
look
feels
back and I'm
amazing.
like, would I have been able
Yeah,
to survive without it? I don't know.
maybe not. Yeah. And now something happens with too much of that. Can you speak for it?
Yes. Oh, so painful, so painful. I just want to say, anyone out there struggling with this, it's so real. It's just, it's like you're being re-traumatized all over again. And just, I just want to validate how hard this could be. I remember listening to a podcast a long time ago where someone was talking about, the attachment issues and what could happen. For her, she said she went to therapy 5 times a week because she was in that much pain.
Wow. Yeah. So we're honoring the pain of this, of how much we need because of the void that we have that needs to get filled in such a big way. And this is the one person in our life now who's showing up, and we're sensing the care and the compassion, and we're getting so much. But what's 45 minutes a week? What's when we have a lifetime and the present challenge of being alone and overwhelmed? We just want more and more and more and more. And naturally, our parts that want to attach more are going to jump out there and be like, let's go, give me more, give me more, give me more. And the therapist might. I want to be flexible, right? I can't be, if I'm too boundaried and I'm flat and I'm just like, no, then what? That's also an abandonment. So now it's like, let me try to be flexible. And now where's that line? And it gets a little
Yeah,
complicated. So for a while it's feeling good, and then
yeah.
something happens.
So it felt good for a very long time. Let's put it this way, for years. And she helped me. I, Baruch Hashem, dated and remarried and found a wonderful man that I didn't believe existed for
Yeah,
me.
for you
No, for
or for
anyone. I
anyone.
didn't believe there was,
Okay,
yeah,
for anyone.
can't be.
Can't
No,
be.
it doesn't exist.
Can't be. Yeah.
And there was something else I was going to say. Let me go back.
You were saying how for a long time she was with you
Oh,
through
I
a
know
lot
what I
of
was going to say. I
for
know
many
what I was going to
years.
say.
Yeah.
I was reading Irvin Yalom's Gift of Therapy, and it helped
Yes.
me realize what we were missing in session. She was so boundaried and so blank slate.
Oh,
And the only time,
this is in the
yes, and the
session.
only time that I got a little human was
Wow,
between
was between.
text, was,
That's
yeah,
interesting. Okay, so in Yalom, you're reading about relational type of therapy, heart,
human.
like that, human, yeah, and you're like, wait, what? That's not my experience, but I am getting that outside. It's kind of like proof that she
Exactly.
cares. Like, look, she's so I'm not relying on the session for that because I'm not getting that there. So I need more from her outside of the session to know
Yeah,
that she's human and that she's gonna give me
yeah,
her heart. Wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
So you're coming to this
yeah.
awareness on
This
your
is
own.
after. This is,
Oh,
yeah,
after you're done
looking
looking
back.
back. Oh,
Oh,
not during the time. So what's happening during this time?
oh,
You're what's it like to get the blank slate in the session? You just thought that was regular,
yeah, I thought
normal.
that she was supposed to do
Um,
that. I
okay.
just went
That's
along.
what she's supposed to do. But you weren't feeling her heart energy, like
It
you
was
weren't feeling
confusing.
the
There was heart and
confusing.
energy, but then when I would bring up anything that felt too close, like she would get scared. Like I did notice the fear.
Okay. Okay. So something intimate,
Yes, anything
closer,
closer,
more
she freaked out.
attached. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Not obviously, you're just in her nervous system
I
and
sensed
you
it,
sensed
yeah.
it.
She definitely dialed
Wow.
back.
Wow. And back to the like distant stance, cold, or
Neutral.
yeah. Wow. Neutral. and you don't need neutral.
No, we don't need
You
neutral.
need connected. You need
Yeah,
connected because neutral doesn't feel safe. I don't know where you stand with me.
exactly,
And I'm just like, how do I get your heart? Because that's what I need. Oh, I get it out of the sessions. Okay, let's keep that
exactly,
going.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
So if I would have had heart in the session, maybe that would have gone different outside of the
maybe we
session.
don't know.
Maybe.
It's always we
We
like
don't
to
know. We'll
exactly.
be
We'll be
curious.
curious, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I was gonna say. I had something on my mind.
You were talking about looking back, you realized
Right.
you needed more connection. You were not getting the heart energy in the session.
Actually it was
She's
very
giving you the heart out of
confusing.
the session.
Very
Yeah.
confusing. I would sometimes have
Yeah.
that, and I would sometimes have the warm connection,
So it's not
not
consistent,
consistent.
which I imagine might have reminded you of
Yes,
other
and
relationships
I never
that are
knew
not
where I was
consistent.
at.
Yeah. Yeah. And an inconsistent uh,
Yeah,
connections growing up, let's say, that's what brings about a result of
yeah,
anxious attachment because I never know where
exactly.
I'm at. So I need to cling to you.
To make sure.
And if you're still there, that
Exactly.
proves to me that
Right.
we're okay. If we're not talking, you may be abandoning me right now or tomorrow. But if you're in contact with me out of the sessions,
Yeah,
okay, we're good. It's almost like soothing the part that's just worried
yeah.
that you left me. Even what you're saying to me in the text, like maybe it's helpful, but it's almost like the fact that you are
Is
texting is so
enough.
important.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
We're
like,
good.
okay, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Like whatever you said, like I don't even know if it landed. That doesn't even matter. I just needed to know that you were going to do
Exactly.
that for me.
I remember the interesting part is I remember that we discussed this piece, the attachment piece,
Yeah.
and I don't think I got enough of the compassion. It was
Mm,
like, okay, there it goes again, and I would be like, so what do you want me to do? And instead of just sitting
okay.
with it and normalizing and the
Mm-hmm.
compassion piece was missing. And as I was
Mm,
growing, I literally would be like, when she would say, oh, there goes your, love addiction again, I'd be like, let's not do that.
whoa. Okay, wait. I'm having a reaction. Love addiction and attachment
That's
are the
what they
same thing.
said. That's what she said.
Oh Lord. If I want connection and love, then I have an
Correct.
addiction. Oh, so I'm shamed
Yes,
now for wanting connection.
exactly. I'm so glad I said
Oh
that word.
my. Yeah. I'm so sorry you got that word and it's in your dictionary. But love addiction. I could actually think of a lot of people that maybe feel this about themselves, and maybe hear it from friends. Like, the people who like therapy becomes like their whole life, and like
It has
their whole
to.
everything revolves
For
around the session.
certain,
And friends are like, "What's wrong with you? You're just taking this too seriously." Like, and then you might feel like, "Wait, yeah, maybe they're right. Like, I have an addiction," but really, it's these attachment parts that are
it's
just
normal.
so confused and so reactive. And what you needed to hear was there are parts of you that are so terrified of not being in connection with me. And here, that's what's showing up because they need connection. They actually do. That's not an addiction. That's called human. And
Yeah.
we need that to be okay. Here they are now. Let's say hello and
Yeah.
let's be with them
Yeah. So
together.
that's what happened as I was
Wow.
developing
Wow.
more and I kind of passed her,
Wow.
so to say.
On your own, like you surpassed her because you had your own
I
compassion.
discovered my own self
That's so cool.
compassion. And I remember I would be like,
That's
could we
beautiful.
not use that word? And let's say we would get to a space where I was, trying to, I don't know, during a session, I'd be like, you know what really helps me? Self compassion. Literally, I would lead my own sessions.
Wow. So you were the therapist now. Wow.
So
Wow.
looking back, it had to
Oh,
end, you
yeah.
know, but the way it ended was horrible.
Mm,
So, so, so painful. Thank you, Hashem, that I was in a good enough space emotionally even though it was right after my husband's accident, so I don't know about that. But like when it comes to,
Wow.
doing your own work and having
Mm-hmm.
enough of a sense of
Mm-hmm.
yourself and
Yeah.
that piece,
Yeah.
yeah, it was,
Do you want to speak to just quickly, like the type of ending that it was and how it left you
oh,
feeling?
it's awful.
Just like the feeling of it
It
and
was
what that was
awful.
like for you.
The ending was that she kind of put the blame on me that I'm not being boundaried enough.
Okay. Out of the sessions.
Yeah,
Your responsibility is to be boundaried as a
yeah.
client.
I'll never
Okay.
forget. I sent her a picture, and her response was, "Text is only for appointments."
Scheduling. Yeah. Even though for 6 years it
Exactly,
hasn't been.
and we never discussed it.
And we never discussed that. Yeah. So she wanted to make a change, but it wasn't something that she had maybe the courage to talk about with you or some other reason. And now you're left, oh, I'm the problem. I'm being bad. I'm a bad client.
Yes,
But you had some sense already that something
yes.
was off.
And
Yeah.
I, I said to her, "Can we have a meeting about this? We never discussed this."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she was busy blaming me again that I'm in too much pain and that it's my abandonment issues. And I finally got through to her and said, "It's possible it's my abandonment issues, but right now I'm not capable of taking care of them. And I
Mm-hmm.
need you to own this."
Yeah. Wow. To speak up like that. So for everybody listening who's like, I would never talk like that to my therapist, what do you want to say to them?
So important. So important. The only one that can
Yeah.
stand up for yourself is you. And I want to
Yeah.
say, just to my growth, like coming from a relationship where I thought everything was my fault to learning how to stand up for
Mm-hmm.
myself, just shows my growth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
that's
yeah.
definitely thanks to her. It's not a
Yep.
contradiction.
Yeah. So she helped you be the challenging client.
Exactly.
The irony of that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I would want to say that like a good, compassionate, caring therapist welcomes that kind of feedback.
exactly. And I had to
Yeah.
recognize that she was not capable of
Yeah.
taking that further. She just said, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry, this is not going to work
Yeah.
anymore."
Oh, she said that. Like through texting, or this was
So
in the
first I
meeting?
told her, "I don't think this is going to work
Okay.
anymore."
In face to face.
Yes, we had the session.
Oh, you said this is not going to work
Yeah.
anymore. This therapy, and you meant it, or you were
No,
hoping
no,
that she
I
was going to
meant it. I
adjust.
meant it. And I
Okay.
said to her, I explained to her that, like, the difference of where we're at, like, I'm using so much more self compassion, and for her, she's much more, a
Mm-hmm.
different way.
Yeah.
And I tried to find my own therapist. And of
Mm.
course, she wasn't half as skilled. So I went
Wow.
back to her and I
Yeah.
said, "Can we continue while I see this therapist? Let's continue doing just trauma work." And instead of
Mm-hmm.
saying no, she said, "Let me think about it."
Mm. That was harder for you.
And she never got back to me. She got back to my therapist saying there was too much countertransference. She was looking at me like her daughter almost.
Wow. Was that something that was ongoing for her, and now you just found out? Wow.
But she didn't have the guts to have a
Wow.
session.
Right. So you're left like unresolved in this relationship, and it's open, it's raw, no
Yeah.
closure really.
And we can't be in touch
Wow.
anymore. That I think was the hardest part.
Oh, she said that. No more being in touch. Ouch. Oh, that's heavy. I'm feeling that heaviness.
Very.
And that's like a massive reminder of all the other abandonments in your life. And this is the person who was supposed to care and all that complicated,
And
complex,
it must be my
all those feelings
fault,
are
and
in
it
it.
must be something I did.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we can't even have a conversation, like a closing
Yeah.
session. Wow, that is so sad. Wow. As I'm hearing you talk, if I could just say, I am so excited that you're entering this
Thank
field.
you. So am I.
Like, you have such a rich experience around attachment in therapy, what helps in therapy, what really doesn't work for people who have been through things like you've been through. And I know for a lot of therapists, if I could speak to them for a minute, who are like, well, I have these challenges. I don't know if I can be such a great therapist. Should I be concerned? I would love to just say, like, we have Chaya here who's like so aware of everything that's going on for her, and she can absolutely be an amazing therapist, very in tune with her own system, and can now bring her experience. It's almost a superpower in a way, where we can bring that now and take it to like the most beautiful places with your clients. So I'm so excited for your
Oh,
clients.
thank you. I just wanted to
Absolutely.
add something
Yeah.
important that helped me. So of
Yes.
course, after this experience, right, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna give everything to my clients. I'm not gonna,
Mm,
I'm gonna give them as
mm-hmm.
much as they need, and I don't want them to go through what I went
Yes.
through. And I'm slowly
Yes.
learning that that doesn't help either, and that
Yeah.
causes
That's right.
anxiety. In fact, the way I
Yeah.
heard it recently was we think that by being more flexible, we're going to help the
Yeah.
anxiety. It actually causes more
Yeah.
anxiety. When I heard
Right.
that, it was
Right.
so helpful to hear
Mm,
that what they need
yes.
is boundaries. They need the
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah. They need the boundaries. And if I could just say really quick that boundaries is not the same thing as boundaries to the heart. I think that's important because a lot of therapists who are very, very boundaried also are putting a lot of boundaries around their heart, which is, I think, what you
Yeah.
were experiencing. So, what we want to be able to do is use skill and art to, first of all, be okay with who we are, which thank God you now have reached that. And it's an ongoing thing for everyone, so that I can open my heart. When I'm protected, I can't. When I know who I am and have that compassion for myself and I'm integrating my pain, now I can bring my authentic heart to my clients. And my boundaries are not boundaries around my heart. My heart's so open. And these boundaries are here to keep us both safe. And it's a little complicated of everyone has their own version of what boundaries look like, and we could have another podcast to talk about that another time. But we are out of time. I just wanted to thank you so, so much. This is, for me, I geek out over these things. So to be able to, but it's like so lonely. Because like I'm a therapist, we just see clients, 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 and to be able to connect, with another human who's been through this, I could almost say we could almost say colleagues. Yeah, that's coming really
Yes.
soon. Um, and to be able to connect over this and really share with the world, it's a gift. It's a gift that you're bringing to the world. It's been a dream of mine for forever that people can hear a story like yours and feel normal
Yes.
and really get just a new awareness around themselves and what they go through. So thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you
Thank
for being
you.
here.
I also am a geek like that. And I love it. And I have so much passion around this. And I just want to repeat to everyone, no matter how much time has gone by, these attachment issues are very, very deep. And I still have to
Yes.
tell myself when it comes up here and there,
Mm-hmm.
you're normal. Like my friend told me,
Mm-hmm.
when you're a 2 year old and you start to walk, you turn around and see, oh, mommy's watching me walk, right? So
Yeah.
this was what the therapist
Beautiful.
did for you.
Yeah. That's
And
a
once
secure base.
once that was
Yeah.
ruptured, it's
Mm. But you were able to lean into yourself at that point because you had more secure attachment with yourself,
exactly, exactly,
right? So that became the
exactly.
security that you were able to lean into and
Right.
and be able to explore the
Yes.
world again.
And another piece I want to say
Yay.
is that very easy to allow the anxiety to intellectualize and to
Mm.
if I can speak to her one more time, if I can have another session one more time, it's
Yes.
just that little girl
Yes.
talking. All you need to do is go
Of
back to her
course.
and say, I'm here, I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm so
Yes.
sorry that
Yes.
this is what happened to you. You never had the
Yeah.
attachment.
Yes. And for so many people who can't relate to that yet, the therapist will be that stance for you for a while, where they say, I see you. I know that who that is. I hopefully have a good therapist who's doing that. I see her and will introduce you to her so that you can be there for her over time. Thank you, Chaya.
Thank you.
I so appreciate you being here. And I'm looking forward to hearing about you in the
Okay.
future.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
I recommend slowing things down for a moment. If this episode stirred feelings in you, confusion, grief, longing, or even relief, it makes a lot of sense. Conversations about attachment and therapy often touch places that are very young and very tender. One of the most important takeaways from Chaya's story is that struggling in therapy does not mean that you're doing it wrong. Needing more does not mean that you're broken. And healing doesn't happen by becoming less human, it happens by being met as human. Secure attachment isn't something you force or think your way into. It's something that develops over time through safe relationship, compassion, and learning to turn toward yourself instead of against yourself. If you're a client listening, I hope this helps you feel less alone in what you're experiencing. And if you're a therapist, I hope this conversation invites reflection, humility, and curiosity about the power and responsibility of the therapeutic relationship. Thank you for listening to the H.I.P podcast. If you found these stories meaningful, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. You can learn more about our work at the H.I.P Counseling Center by visiting www.hipcounseling.com and stay connected with us on social media for updates and more conversations about healing and growth. Until next time, remember, humanly is possible.